Let's talk a little bit about how to claim or optimize your Google My Business listing. You do this by going to google.com/mybusiness. This is where you would go and you would either sign in with your Google account or you go to Manage Now in order to go through the verification process and get your new listing signed up. This process is changing all the time with different screen views and pictures, but the gist is that you want to always search for Google My Business Help if you need to get to this sign up page. But in most cases, I would think that you already have a claimed Google My Business listing, and it's just a matter of logging in. And once you get in there, you should see a screenshot that has your listing and all your contact information and more info besides that. And here's where you click on Info to update that information. You're going to want to make sure you optimize everything in your dashboard that you can for better rankings in the Maps results. So one thing that I'm going to challenge you with today is to just get access to your Google My Business listing. Most of you guys have third-party contractors who typically handle this for you. So whether it's a marketing company like ours or some other company, you want to at least have your own access to your Google My Business listing. That way you can look at different insights and you'll be able to know what's going on in terms of reviews for your company, and you can respond to reviews if you want to. You can make other updates. You can upload photos. You can make sure there are no infractions or other messages that are actually preventing you from ranking well on Maps. Usually access to your dashboard will be from your Google Gmail account, or if you're part of Google Suite for Businesses, it's your company email combined with the username and password for your account. So bottom line is to try and track down your Google My Business login access. And then there are some things that you want to pay attention to. First is to make sure that you have your login. If you don't do anything else from today's training, but you go back to your current provider or whomever it is that did this for you originally and say, hey, can you add me as a user on my Google My Business listing? Or say to them, can you give me the username and password? That gives you control and lets you keep tabs on your listing and results on your own. It gives you power that you really need to have within your business, especially for those on this webinar that have had bad experiences with previous marketing companies who hold your listings hostage or end up really never giving you access to your listing ever again. So everything is accessed and will look like this in your own dashboard. The next thing is to make sure that you update your company name so that it doesn't have any additional information, just strictly your company name. Again, you're going into the info section in Google My Business, and here you can edit each section of your dashboard individually. You also want to make sure that you have the right category selected. A lot of times if Google Maps or Google My Business was claimed or set up years ago, you won't have the right category picked. It might not even have any category chosen at all right now, or at least not the best for your industry. Next is your address. The main thing with your address is just to make sure that it's listed the same exact way on Google Maps as how it's listed on Yelp or Angie's List or Facebook, City Search, all the other directories. So if you have it listed as 123 Main Street in Austin, Texas without your suite number, then make sure that it's not 123 Main Street in Austin, Texas, #A for your suite somewhere else, some other directory, or that suite isn't spelled out SUITE. Google uses hashtags for suite, so you want to match that up everywhere. Now, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here, but I just kind of want to show you some common mistakes. And I also want to show you that it isn't so complicated that you can't just dive into yourself and see this stuff in your own dashboard. Also update your hours of information. And if you are truly available to take calls 24/7, feel free to put that you're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're not, it's probably better to limit those hours so you're not getting calls at all times of the day or night. But I will say, if you have this listed as Monday to Friday from, say, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., if somebody searches on Google at 4 p.m., they're going to potentially not be able to see you in the results, or if they do, it's going to say closed, and obviously nobody's going to call a company that's listed as closed. So pay attention to this. And another idea too is if you're a smaller company, or don't have someone dedicated to answering your phone, is to use a third-party answering service. That way you can mark that you're open 24/7, and you don't lose those people that are looking on the weekend or after hours during the week. Next is your phone number. This one can cause issues on a lot of occasions. A lot of companies do one of two things wrong when it comes to their phone number. They'll either use an 800 toll-free number because they serve multiple area codes. And this actually makes sense for somebody that might get turned off to your company because you have a 303 area code and they are searching from a 970 area code. Anecdotal evidence shows that 800 area code numbers don't rank very well on Google Maps. Typically, it's no more than 1 in 10 listings that will have an 800 number, if even that. So it's really in your best interest to use a local area code number in the Maps listings. The other thing is to use your main company phone number on Google Maps whenever possible. Again, we're talking about consistency, and we'll continue to talk more about this as we go. But the problem is that a lot of people want to put a tracking number on their Maps listing. Now, while that's cool, and you'll be able to say, hey, look at how many calls I got directly from Google Maps, the problem is that it can create inconsistency in your NAP profile. In reality, Google is looking at your phone number as a signal for how authoritative you are as a company and how long you've been around. So if you have a number that's been around for 10 or 15 years, believe it or not, Google has that phone number in their index, and then that becomes an authority factor that contributes to your listing ranking better. I tend to say, let's find your most authentic number for your company and let's put that in your Google listing. But if nothing else, if you do use a tracking number, just make sure that you're using that same tracking number that's on Google Maps, that you're using it on Yelp, on Facebook, City Search Angie's List, all the other online directories as well. You have to have consistency across the internet. Just no two ways about that. And then you can upload photos. Google wants to see pictures in the Google My Business listing, and there's all kinds of opportunities to get creative with photos. Now you can just come into your dashboard, upload your photos, and those will get added to your Google My Business listing automatically. And so those are the main things that you want to do. Use your local phone number and your address. Don't use a P.O. box. If you do put a P.O. box in for any reason, maybe it's just because you don't have an address, it's almost like saying, Google, please remove me from Google Maps. Google will eventually catch this, so don't do it. Also, try not to use a home address either. Try and get a real physical address, whether it's your real office or a warehouse or a commercial building that you're in. Then that's what you need to put in here to play the Google Maps game to true effectiveness. So that's the process, and you really don't have to overthink this. You don't have to overcomplicate it. That's what you need to do. Just make sure it's nice and clean and follow Google's guidelines and best practices. What's really cool is once you have this synced up and have control of your Google Map listing, then you can get in here and see how things look. You can make sure that you're properly verified, and you can optimize your listing and make it really stand out. And then you also have access to really neat insights. You can see how many people searched for you, how many views you've shown up for, how many different actions people took. And even better is that you can sync this to your Google Analytics account and to your YouTube account as well. What I like to look at the most, though, is the insights that your dashboard provides. And from there, we can drill down into the data and really see local specific analytics for your business on Google Maps. One of my favorite things to look at is down here in the lower right-hand corner is how many calls you actually got from your Maps listing. So that's people actually going in here into your Maps search results, and while they're there, they're clicking that click to call phone button. So think about that for a moment. With our client here, they got 48 phone calls. And this is not the total number of calls from everything else that they are doing, but the number of calls directly from their map listing in just the last 30 days. If this isn't enough of a reason for you to say, hey, I need to gain control of my Google Map listing, then I'm not sure what would be a good enough reason. So you want to have access to this information. You want to be able to see what's going on. And you also have a direct feed for your online reviews as well. So you'll get alerted, you'll be able to see reviews, you'll be able to actually respond to reviews as the company owner. And that's really a great practice to get into anyway, and one that Google looks very favorably upon. And we also put strategies into place to help our clients build online reviews. And we set up alerts for when new reviews come in so that you can respond and thank the customer for their generous feedback of your company. Hopefully this was helpful and you get to see a little bit of a visual of what Google My Business actually looks like. Also why it's powerful to have access to your Google My Business listing. And we also talked about some Google best practices in order to make sure you are doing things right, or that your marketing providers are doing things right, that there's no infractions or penalties that could be preventing you from ranking higher on Google Maps, or even ranking at all. So that's the first step. To claim and optimize your Google My Business listing, it's the most basic thing that you can do to contribute to your online success.